On the field. Off the field. Sports talk. Entertainment and more. This is Sauce on the Side.
Well, hello there, Dippers, and welcome back to episode 51 of Sauce on the Side podcast. I'm your host, Drake, as always, joined by the producer, the man, the myth, the legend, Leighton Pip Shavantone.
The NFL is the most petty, billion-dollar, non-for-profit organization to ever exist.
Leighton, next time you say that, I want you to stress non-for-profit even harder, please.
Billion-dollar, not for profit.
There you go. Now we got it down. And sitting in as a guest host today, the only man on this podcast that has a better hairline than myself, Mr. Brandon B. Riker.
There will always be three constants in life: taxes, death, and NBA players releasing videos of them crossing up the air and draining wide open jump shots to show that they are ready for a comeback.
Are you talking about your 76ers again?
Well, most recently, Jahlil Okafor was showing how in shape he was by crossing up the air and shooting a 10-foot jumper.
I would be more impressed of a Jahlil Okafor highlight if he actually was able to stop a 10-year-old from scoring.
I think
that would be a highlight I could get behind.
I think Okafor was on the Eric Gordon diet for that video.
Yeah, I like that. The Eric Gordon diet.
He's in shape, but not great shape.
Yeah, but he actually had his shirt off. He wanted to show some of his results. So,
I love it. Dippers, we have a jam-packed show for you today. We're going to talk about the quote-unquote halfway point, which has actually come at 100 games this season, and talk about the remaining schedules and which teams we see in and out of the playoffs whenever the dust settles and 162 games have been played in the MLB. We're going to talk a little bit about the MLB hot stove. We're going to talk about, we got B-Reich Hot Take Detective is coming up, and there's a few signings in the NBA, one of which makes absolutely no sense to me. But before we get to any of that, Dippers, make sure that you are listening on iTunes and Spotify. We will officially be off of SoundCloud September 13th. So be sure to download, rate, subscribe. SoundCloud, not SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify. We will be off of SoundCloud September 13th. So write that down. Make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Saucy Pod. Make sure you give us those 5-star reviews on both Spotify and iTunes. But, guys, let's talk some baseball. So, I said it. We're at the halfway point, is what they always like to call it for the All-Star game. But we're almost 100 games in. Guys, and the MLB standings so far, in the AL East, we have the Red Sox, the AL Central, the Indians, the AL West, the Astros, and your wild card teams are the Yankees and the Mariners. Guys, that's probably been the same set of 5 teams for the past month and a half. Of those teams, do you guys see any, and who, if you do see, falling off in the second half?
If I had to pick one team, I'd pick the Mariners because they have 26 or 27 one-run wins, and in fact, their run differential is -1. But I think they'd be the 5 teams in the end. The Athletics have come only 3 games back, and they're looking pretty good right now. But I still think the Mariners are just a better team, and they'd be the 5 teams in the end.
Well, I completely agree with you, Leighton. You brought up that one-run the early success in those one-run games, which typical wisdom says that will just not hold up. They're 20th in runs scored, 17th in team ERA. Paxton just went down. He's actually had a ERA north of 5 in the last 6 games. King Felix has been on the shelf and been pretty bad all year. For Seattle to hold on, I really think they're going to have to add an arm at the deadline, which I don't have a lot of pieces to make that happen, but I could see them falling to the Oakland Athletics.
See, as far as the Mariners go, I feel like the Mariners are going to do absolutely everything it takes to sneak into the postseason. I think that all 5 of these teams are pretty dead set locked in to be in the postseason. The only team that I see having a little bit of regression in the second half is the Yankees. I said on Ducks on the Pond that I thought that they would fall more than 6 games behind the Red Sox just because of how hot, how cold, and how hot and how cold they get. But, I mean, we're looking at a team that, had they had not had that huge tear where they went, 12-1 or 15-1 or whatever it was, they would be right along the mix of the rest of the AL. And I don't see them going on a tear like they did. In fact, I could see them having more of a skid instead of a tear like that. I still think they're going to be, well locked into the playoffs, but I just don't expect the second half from the Yankees that we saw in the first. Because, you had Didi Gregorius playing out of his gourd there for a while. Then you had Gleyber Torres playing out of his gourd. I feel like guys like that, we saw a little bit of the Gregorius regression, but I just see the Yankees, having some hiccups throughout the remainder of the season. You guys kind of hinted at it with the A's, but the A's are the only team in the AL that are within 8.5 games of the Mariners, who hold the last wild card slot. The A's, they sit 3 games back after they've kind of went on a tear of their own. But do you see any other team other than, these 5, maybe 6, being able to sneak up there and flirt with the wild card bid?
No, I really don't. When you look at it, the next 3 teams on there, the Angels, Rays, and the Twins. The Twins are 8-2 in the last 10 games, playing better overall, but they're still 13 games back. The Angels, in my opinion, are the most talented team in the playoffs right now, but they're in a division with the Athletics, Mariners, and the Astros, so I don't know if they'll win enough games against the other 3 good teams in the conference or division to get up there. And the Rays are the Rays. I don't think Wilson Ramos is leading anybody to the playoffs this season.
Well, I mean, the Rays have been linked to selling at the trade deadline. If you're selling, you're not getting into the playoffs. So, yeah, I'm not hating on the Oakland Athletics too much. I think they could definitely sneak into the playoffs instead of the Mariners. Like we said, actually, the Oakland Athletics are 16th in team ERA and 10th in runs scored. That's a lot better than the Mariners. They just haven't had the success in one-run ball games. And Billy Beane actually said
they don't have the clutch gene, Brandon.
They don't have the clutch gene, but Billy Beane actually said they're going to be buyers. So I could see them adding a middle tier arm to their starting rotation.
Whenever you say that the Oakland Athletics are buyers, dude, that makes me just instantly think that they're going to go out and get like the most average player in the MLB.
He'll probably be a star, though.
Well, we really are only like 3-4 years away from them going after John Lester and Jeff Samardzija in the same.
That was like the only time in the A's history that they went out and did that.
That's why I said you look at them.
And it completely bit him in the ass.
I said, yeah, that's why I said add a middle tier guy. They're not going to do a John Lester, Jeff Samardzija. They're going to add like a J Happ or something that's pretty cost control and won't put them in a bind.
Yeah. This is a team that honestly, I was looking at schedules and I was trying to reach at something, because basically we're sitting here and you got 5 teams that, like I said, were locked in. You had the 6th, and that doesn't make anything interesting. But I was looking at the Rays, and if they could avoid being sellers at this deadline, they started off 1-8. Since then, they've been 48-39. So they've actually been playing really good baseball, with the exception of their first 10 games. And this is a very, very weird stat. They're 9th in hits in the MLB, but they're 25th in extra base hits. So unofficially, this team leads the MLB in singles. So this team, if they can start getting, a little more lucky and actually getting those extra base hits and not just hitting singles every single time, they could actually cause some havoc, because they kind of have that old school approach. They're 6th in the MLB in on base percentage, and they're 26th in home runs. So they fight to get on base instead of just go for the launch angle and try to hit a dinger. And their schedule coming up is absolute cake.
Did you just imply that extra base hits are luck?
Well, I mean, as far as yes, because a single. Okay, you think about a single in the MLB, like that. A lot of that has to do with it being fortunate, hitting it in the gap. Because I mean, if you hit the same exact ball, you could get a double or you could get a single. It just depends, A, the shift, B, because today's MLB, the shift is in on every single play, and whether or not you hit it right at a dude or you actually get it in the gap. Because, you rarely see, infield singles anymore, so it's all about where you place the ball in the outfield.
Well, I just think their biggest issue is what you hinted at is they don't have slugging. And when Wilson Ramos is one of your best sluggers, you're in trouble right there.
No,
so that's my biggest thing on the Rays.
I agree with that. But, if you're 9th in hits and 25th in extra base hits, there is a huge disparity there.
Right.
And listen to the schedule.
Okay.
And this is why I think that this is why they could possibly, if they don't sell. Now, you have Snell and Archer. He's been in and out of the lineup all season. Hasn't really been consistent. He was playing with a 7 ERA earlier in the season. Now he's got it back down to 4. But they play Miami 3 times, Baltimore 7 times, the White Sox 3 times, the Angels 3 times, the Blue Jays 3 times, and then the Yankees 3 times. That's their up-and-coming schedule, and that is
pretty solid.
25 games. 25 games, and you're playing half of them are against the White Sox, the Orioles, and the Marlins. So I honestly, if they don't make a ton of moves at the deadline, I could see them creeping up and flirting with the picture. I don't necessarily think that they'll be able to get in there because they will have to play, they'll end up playing the Yankees. They'll play the Red Sox. But I think that's just a team to look out for that could possibly be a sleeper in this, in the AL. Because other than that, the AL is absolutely boring.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, no, and the Rays are pesky. You say they don't hit a whole lot of home runs. They hit a lot of singles, and they have long at-bats, and it's infuriating to watch.
And on top of that, they do have a decent pitching staff. So,
yeah, dude, the pitching staff is pretty money.
But you talked about the schedule being cake.
Even though they didn't actually have any pitchers that were all-stars.
You talk about the schedule being cake. Every team in the American League's schedule is cake.
Yeah, that's to be fair.
They'll really 4 good teams in the American League.
Yeah, but they sneak in some interleague play with the Marlins.
Yeah, that's clutch. That's clutch.
That's huge. That's big clutch.
See, the Red Sox already had
the only team you want to play in the NL.
Yeah, see, the Red Sox already had our interleague play against the Marlins, so we've been missing that edge the second half.
Yeah,
honestly,
second half edge.
The Rays might win the AL East.
No,
who knows?
I don't think they'll do that.
Who knows?
But that 3-game set against the Rays in July, that could pay dividends later on in the season. So we kind of hit on the AL. Guys, we'll talk about the NL. Basically do the same exact thing we did with the AL. NL East, your leader are the Phillies. Your NL Central are the Cubs. The NL West, you have the Dodgers. And your wild card teams are the Brewers and Braves. There's been a ton of parity this season in the NL. So which of these teams that I had listed, the 5 there, do you see falling off in the second half?
So I can't really decide which one, but I really think either the Philly or the Braves will fall off in the second half. They both have, they both excel in different parts of baseball. The Braves have the 25th worst ERA in baseball in the month of July. They limped into the All-Star break, going 3-7 in their last 10. The staff has overachieved all year. So I don't know if the Braves made a move for a decent pitcher. I see them, staying still, get into the playoffs, but I don't think the Braves are really going to be buyers. I know they've been linked to a couple players, but I think they might be happy with overachieving this year and just, building for the next couple years because they'll be pretty solid. The Phillies, they have the 5th best farm system in baseball, and they need slugging. And they've actually been linked to being serious suitors for Manny Machado. If they could get that, maybe Moustakas or something, they have a realistic chance because, like I said, they need a lot of slugging, and their pitching staff's great. So I think it's whoever makes a move out of those two.
See, I saw that the Phillies were actually linked to Machado, like you had said.
Right.
And Moustakas, the Braves, have come out as a candidate for that.
And I'm not really for sure why the Braves do Moustakas, but...
No, they need to go out and get Chris Archer.
Yeah, they need a pitcher. But the Phillies, like I said, they have the 5th best farm system, and they realistically can make a hell of a push for Machado if they want to try to go in this year. They have a young talented shortstop right now, but he's been underachieving. But, if the Phillies want to hold on, I think they have to make a big move for a bat.
Yeah, I agree with you. Because the team that actually fallen off the most are the Phillies. Because I looked at the stats earlier. Abdul Herrera is leading their team in batting average, only batting .275. Out of the team, the benefit is only plus 18. So they're not scoring any runs. And I think that they got Manny Machado. I hope I'll say about this team. I do think they'll win the NL East still, but I can see them taking a major plunge after this break.
Well, you said plus 18, and they have a great pitching staff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they're not
Which
scoring,
is crazy to think about.
Scoring runs.
And Leighton, you actually hit it right on the head there, and that was the argument that I was going to use. You know, you look at the Phillies; they have a very, very, very talented pitching staff. I mean, top to bottom, you'd say, you know, that's a top 5 team as far as just pitching goes. And there's really no debate there with that. And this team is only plus 18 run differential. That's actually worse than the Rays. The Rays have a plus 20 run differential. So there's your kind of fun fact of the day there. But, you know, most of these teams are going to go out and try to add talent. They need pitching. The Phillies are in that weird spot where they could go out and add a huge bat. And I actually saw something this past week marked the 10-year anniversary where we saw CC Sabathia get traded to the Brewers and Manny Machado get traded to the Dodgers. So if that doesn't make you feel old, guys, I don't know what would. But I think that this trade deadline is leading up to be something that big of a splash in the MLB. Whether you have, you know, a guy like Chris Archer, might not be him, but a guy like that going to the Braves where they, you know, load up on the front end of the rotation, or the Phillies with Machado. I think that the Phillies need Machado probably more so than any other team making a push to the playoffs needs any other player. Because without that big bat in the lineup, you're really not scared of that team too much.
Not at all.
No, and it would help with the younger guys in the clubhouse, having Machado there where teams are coming out there and saying, oh shit, I got to face Machado, instead of they're thinking like, oh, got, you know, Herrera and Hoskins today, like, who's scared of that shit. So I would like to see them both make a move, but I see the Phillies struggling the most in the second half. But with that being said, we have all but 4 teams in the NL realistically have a chance at the last wild card spot. All but 4 teams are within 5.5 games. Guys, which of these teams are going to have a second strong half? Because I'm looking at the list, and I can think that there's probably 3 of them that are going to dive in there. And which team that was not listed before will be in the postseason come October?
Well, I mean, they're right there knocking on the door, but I see the Diamondbacks making a huge push. They got Pollock and Lamb back from injury. They haven't been producing like they should. Maybe they'll, you know, bounce back at the All-Star break. And Goldschmidt's been on an absolute tear since struggling that first month and a half.
Dude, he was hitting like $180. Now he's already up to like 280.
Yeah, no, his OPS has just been insane. And the pitching staff has been pretty solid all year. They've started to regress a little bit, and we kind of thought that might happen, but I could see their offense picking up, and they have a pretty solid team all throughout. They make a small move, and I think they're definitely in the playoffs.
Yeah, see, I need to get this out of the way first, preface this by saying the Giants will go win the NL West. So I have.
Oh my!
So
Cappy just got really mad. Cappy's cruising in the squad right now, and he just got really pissed off.
So that by default, so now I think the Dodgers will be the second wildcard team along with the Brewers. The Dodgers are playing so much better as of late. And real quickly, let me just opinion the difference between the good team and bad teams in baseball. The top 4 run differentials are Astros 188, Red Sox 163, Yankees at 131, and the Cubs at 114.
That's right, baby.
The next best in the National League are the Dodgers at plus 82, and they're barely winning their division because of how.
Wait a second. What was the difference between the Cubs and the Dodgers?
42. No, 32.
Smokes.
32.
That's still an insane amount between the number 1 versus number 2 teams in the NL.
Yeah. So, if you look at just at that, that's how you tell who the good teams are at this point in the season. We talked about the Phillies and the Braves having only plus 18, and the Braves only plus 68. So I think the Dodgers are going to be in there along with the Brewers. I like this Brewers team all season. I think they'll go add, we'll get to this in a little bit, but I think they'll add an arm at the deadline instead of a big bat.
Yeah, and you know, we've talked a lot about run differential, and this kind of just like comes into my head. I feel like baseball is the only time that you can use scoring differential as a measuring stick, because there's no such thing as running up the score. You know, you don't score enough you don't score enough runs in baseball to necessarily run up the score. And every single time a dude goes up to the plate, he has money on the line because, you know, he's thinking that every single time he comes up to the plate, you know, it's going to calculate into his average. And, you know, every single time they're going to go up there and do the absolute best that they can. Do you guys think that? Do you guys agree with that? That like scoring differential is the only way? Because in football, you take your foot off the gas, you run the clock out.
Right.
Basketball, you sit your starters. In baseball, you really never see the starters get pulled.
Yeah,
That's a fair point, for sure.
Yeah, no, I think that's true, because even if you play a bad team, let's say you play the Marlins, you know, in the NL East, you play the Marlins and mess a shit ton. If you just take off or add 20 runs, it's not that big of a difference, but that's going to explain those like 18 bad games against crap teams, or 36 bad games against crap teams.
Yeah, and on top of that, baseball's always been a stat league. I mean, it's about your total amount of stats in the season.
That's how fantasy sports was invented. Baseball.
Yeah, and baseball, more than anyone, cares about your total numbers. Like, all the other sports care about your averages per game. More than anything, we care about how many home runs, RBIs, walks, how much they got. And if you know, so every time they go up there, they're trying to hit the ball out of the park because they want their money. And if you hit, I mean, 35 is a lot different than 40 home runs when it comes to getting paid in the offseason. We found that out. So that's a very fair point right there.
Yeah, but B-Right, no surprise, man. My sleeper, piggyback off yours, really. I mean, because if you look at the Diamondbacks rotation, I mean, you have Robbie Ray, Greinke, Patrick Corbin, and, you know, Clay Buchholz is basically reborn. I mean, the dude's holding like a 2.54 ERA since he went to the Diamondbacks, and I don't know what it is, but something's in the water there. Our boy, I Throw 88, Dan Herron, has actually been working with the Diamondbacks. So I think that could possibly be what it is. Get you a little ex-Cub on your team up as a coach, and, you know, he'll sprinkle some of that Wrigley Field pixie dust on the arms and bring them back to life. But, you know, their team batting average is .229. And you have, you know, Lamb, Jay, Goldie, Pollock all on your team, and you're hitting 280. 229. You have to expect that's going to go up eventually. And I think that the Diamondbacks are one of those rare teams that need to go out and get a bat more so than an arm. So this is a team that I would definitely be looking for at the deadline, maybe making a move.
You weren't alluding to the Diamondbacks using a little pine tar, were you?
No.
It's the dehumidifier.
It's the humidifier.
The humidifier.
All right, nice.
They have that big humidor.
Yeah, they do.
Got the cigars on one side and the baseballs on the other.
Do we know or not if it's a walk-in yet, or just like a cabinet type deal? Because I'm picturing a walk-in with like a really elaborate shelf for each ball has its own place, like carved out of the wood.
I doubt it's that, but that's how I imagine it too.
Yeah. Leighton, you actually need to take a peek for that and give it a quick Google since you have the computer in front of you.
I'm sure the picture of it.
See if you can find a picture of it.
Oh, yeah.
Picture of it somewhere.
Yeah, but I think the Diamondbacks are in for a big second half push.
Oh, so you like the Diamondbacks?
Yeah, one could say that.
And I think you're using what's Clay Buchholz.
I love Clay Buchholz.
That's about as illogical as a thought you could possibly have. Do you have any more illogical thoughts for us?
Yes, I actually do.
It was all a dream. I used to read Run Up magazine.
The MLB All-Star Game is this Tuesday in our nation's capital, in what many are calling the biggest game ever held at Nationals Park. Colin Sexton, only 2 Summer League wins away from bringing as many titles to Cleveland as LeBron did. I asked myself this week, hypothetically, I wonder what Nate Robinson would be worth in today's NBA if he couldn't dunk. And then I saw that Isaiah Thomas signed for $2 million. Steve Sarkisian lost his $30 million lawsuit against USC for wrongful firing. Probably a good thing, because the last thing that the Falcons fans need is for him to celebrate with a drink. Corey Kluber, unable to play in the All-Star game this Tuesday, and it may actually be a good thing, because I really wanted to see the best pitcher in the AL suit up. Enter Blake Snell. And there's a new book out this week. It's titled, You Either Die the Hero or You Live Long Enough to Be the Villain. And it was written by the Cardinals' Mike Matheny. Ooh. And those have been my thoughts.
I just can't believe the Rays are going to win the AL East.
I love the Rays, man. I just, I love the Rays, and I love the fact that you can't, the Rays can never get away from Devil Rays, because I Googled Tampa Bay Devil Rays, and guess what came up?
Them, probably.
I'm sure.
Tampa Bay Rays.
I'm sure the Rays did.
Hey, I bet if you Googled the Expos, it wouldn't come up as the Nationals. I guarantee that wouldn't be the case.
I cannot find a picture of the humidor, but this article I read from ESPN.com said that it's, quote, a giant humidor. So it must be a walk-in.
I love that. I bet it's like Chad Ochocinco's cigar closet, dude. That's got to be awesome. I kind of hinted at it, though, guys. With Mike Matheny, do you think that they were right or wrong for that?
I mean, they were right in the sense that something's definitely wrong with that clubhouse. They have a pretty talented team. They have good pitching. They got some good hitters. They've had a couple people that aren't going up to expectations, like Ozuna, who we all thought was gonna have an MVP season because Cardinal way. But I think it was just time to change. Cappy talked about it on Cappy's Corner yesterday. Just about probably them trying to go into the new age of baseball and embrace analytics and such. And I think that's probably where they're going to go. It sucks, but a lot of good coaches get fired.
Yeah, and Mike Matheny didn't seem like the biggest clubhouse guy ever. He seemed like a guy who took losses way too hard. And whenever every team
He's
wins,
the exact opposite of Alex Cora. Instead of putting pictures of wins up on his wall in his office, he put pictures of the losses.
Pictures of the losses, yeah. And in a game where every team loses 50 games, win 50 games, and when the other 50 games matter, you can't stress every loss. And I feel like that's a big... he put too much weight on the clubhouse by doing that.
Yeah, I agree. But, guys, okay, so if we're just looking at pure talent from teams, okay, in the NL Central, where do you think that the Cardinals rank?
Third.
I'd say third. I think it's not... I think they're a lot closer to the Brewers than their record shows.
But still, they're sitting there in third place, like their talent level shows.
Yeah.
And, the front office kind of hangs him out to dry to do this at the freaking, the game before the All-Star break. Like, let him finish out the season. Like, the guy has been a part of your organization for, as a player and a manager for God knows telling how long. And I think it's just kind of bad taste because they're kind of using him as their scapegoat, but it's like, other than Marcell Ozuna, what have you done for the roster?
Right.
They've been relying on, like, 30-year-old rookies like Hazelbaker and shit like that, and you just can't do that. Mm-hmm. You just can't do that because you look at guys and bitch about the development, like with Marcell Ozuna, but, like, where'd Tommy Pham come from, Like, he came out of nowhere. But we'll get to the MLB hot stove. And, guys, we've been waiting on Machado to be moved every single week. But it seems like there's a new team in the running. The Milwaukee Brewers have emerged as one of the three horses to land Baltimore's All-Star. Do you guys think that Machado should be what they're targeting at the deadline? And do you think that they have a legitimate chance to go blow for blow with the Yankees and Dodgers in trying to land him?
First off, no, I do not think they have a chance to match the Dodgers off. I think go to the Dodgers. Dodgers can offer him the most. Yankees always said they won't give a top 10 prospect for him.
I think that's wiped out now. I think I saw a report that the Yankees have put a top 10 prospect in there.
Well, regardless, I don't think anything back to the Dodgers. And anyway, no, I don't think they need to get a bat. I think they need to get a pitcher. Because right now, if their 1-2-3 pitcher is more like a 2-2 and a 4.
Right.
I think they're going to go get a guy.
If they're lucky.
I think they're going to get a guy like Cole Hamels, who is not an ace, but he's a 1. And then they have 1 and 2. They have 2 guys. And in a 7-game playoff series or 5-game playoff series, that's huge. And
Cole Hamels is going to be half the price as Machado, and you get him for 2x. You get him for a whole another year next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's more the point I was going to make. Like, of course, Machado's going to help the team. I mean, Machado's one of the best players in the game. But does it make any logical sense for when their bats are okay, but their pitching is awful, they're going to go after the most expensive batting trade ship we can probably even think about in my mind, the last 15 years? I can't think of a better one that was on the market. So it makes no sense. I just think really the only 2 teams I think are going to make a huge push are the Phillies and Dodgers, because I don't think the Yankees are willing to give up what those 2 are. and they can both use them a lot more. So,
Yeah, no, I agree. As far as need, the Dodgers and the Phillies are basically 1 and 2. The Brewers, like you guys said, I mean, that would be the ultimate, like, terrible move.
Right.
Because you look at this team, and what all did they bring in the offseason?
offense.
And what are they trying to do at the deadline?
I guess they know about bats.
Yeah.
They have enough bats.
I guess they want to play football with everybody because it's going to be a killer offense. But I mean, who the hell's scared of any of their pitchers other than the bullpen guys? The late bullpen guys, you have Hader. Dude, could you imagine if they got like a Cole Hamels to go 7 innings strong? You turn it over to Hader and then Nabel to come in to shut the door down. Like, you're not going to beat that in the postseason.
Yeah, on a bad team, Hamels still has a respectable ERA and he's still pitching well. And like you said, he could push that team over the top and compete with the Cubs. Because right now, I really think the Cubs are, as it stands right now, Cubs are definitely winning the Central. And you go to a wild card game where you need a number one. They don't even have one. Who are they going to pitch in that wild card game?
Chase Anderson.
It makes no sense. So they're going to use
Zach Davies.
Yeah, Zach Davies. So they got. Oh my God. So they're going to use all their resources to go in on something they have a surplus of. It just makes no logical sense at all.
And before about Cole Hamels, I haven't really seen him brought up at all in trade talks in a while. Have you guys seen anything about him in the past couple of weeks?
Haven't seen a thing.
No, I think he's going to be pretty cheap to get. And on top of that, this is his last year on his contract, and he has like a $20 million team option that nobody's probably going to pick up. So, I mean, it's not like
Brewers
you're really
good.
Yeah, they
The
might.
Brewers probably would, Could they?
Yeah.
To be the best pitcher they have, it's only $20 million.
Yeah.
But I mean, if they're willing to pick that up, like, the Rangers will be willing to give him away for real cheap. And that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my thing on this is I don't know what these teams would be asking, obviously.
Right.
But I think that if you put Chris Archer on that Brewers team, he would immediately become the best pitcher. And the same thing for Cole Hamels is that he would be the best pitcher on that team. And you know that the Machado asking price, because everybody is calling the Orioles, everybody's inquired about him, everybody's just take a little sneak peek. I'm sure the Padres have even called about him. And I would imagine that the asking price for Cole Hamels and Chris Archer is going to be lighter than what just Machado by himself would be. And Archer and Hamels help your team out a lot more than what Machado does, because you're a team that needs something. Now, obviously, don't get me wrong, as far as those three guys go, Machado's obviously the best player. But if you're looking at what this team could use, those two arms would be gigantic for those teams.
Right.
And another player that I'd actually seen that had come up on the hot stove, not much of a surprise though, Mike Moustakas, been rumored to have drawn interest from the Red Sox, the Braves, and guess what other team? The Yankees. Like every other trade asset that any team has, the Yankees will call. Do you guys see a deal getting done, getting Moose on the move?
I do think Moose will be on the move. Ben talked about him going to the Braves, while the Braves would want him. Next year, he has a mutual option for $15 million. So the Braves can definitely afford that for just the 1 year. So that might be why they want him so badly.
Yeah, maybe.
As far as the Red Sox go, just from a personal standpoint, I don't want to trade for Moustakas, because I want to keep getting Devers those at bats.
Yeah.
If Devers' shoulder is way worse than people are saying it is, though, and he's going to be out till late September, I would like to get Moustakas, because I think winning the division is just as important. It's the most important thing right now, winning the division. Because I
you think Moustakas can catch?
You know what? I sat in the center of a baseball game. That motherfucker is huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
his nickname's Moose.
Dude, TV does him no justice. That guy's forearms are like my freaking thighs.
Yeah.
Leighton, there's a reason why guys like Jose Altuve are not nicknamed Moose.
But yeah, I completely agree with you, Leighton. I don't think the Red Sox should move forward. When I saw the Red Sox were in on him, like I guess I wasn't surprised, but I didn't really get to see the logic. Like you said, you have Devers there. He has hurt a little bit, but I don't think the way Moose has produced this year, it's not like an absolute huge upgrade from Devers. I think really the Yankees are going to go for him. I think I don't think they're going to go match the offers for Machado, because I don't think they're willing to give up a lot of those big prospects, and I think the Royals are going to take a lot less for Moustakas, obviously. I could definitely see him going to the Yankees. That's actually my favorite for it.
Isn't Mike Moustakas just looks like a guy who kind of had his end of his years in Yankees pinstripes? Like, we've seen players like him come and
Mark
go
Teixeira.
Yes, Mark Teixeira.
He's going to move to first. What he's going to do is going to move to first base. He's going to put on even more weight and probably be a DH by the end of his career. Just his
I love that. Yeah, he's just got to get on the PEDs, and he'll end his career like every multi-time All-Star who goes to the Yankees, and we can watch him carry off with 2 or 3 rings just to rip Leighton's heart out.
Yeah. Now, if I were the Yankees, I hope to God that doesn't happen. But if I were the Yankees, what I would trade for Machado this season, trade Gregorius, and then some other players, put Machado back at third base, just make the best offer for Moose, get Moose at third base, pick up that mutual option for Moose next season, have Machado at shortstop, have fucking Gleyber Torres at second base, sign some first baseman that's good as shit, and just beat the world in next season. Hope it doesn't happen.
You made that sound really easy, man.
Hope it doesn't happen.
Really easy.
And that's how you make the Yankees really fucking good and unbeatable, by a diehard Red Sox fan.
Yep. Hope it. I really though they
What the hell?
could get Moustakas, just make the best offer for him.
Yeah, I don't think that. I think
agree.
he's pretty cheap to get.
Yeah.
Which I think he shouldn't be as cheap as he is, but I think he's gonna be pretty cheap.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. So earlier we hit on the teams that we expect to slump and kind of take off in the second half. Guys, do you have any players that you expect to explode in the second half of the season?
I actually have a couple of guys. Happy to beat both of them.
Are they both Red Sox? Because they won't count.
Neither of them or the Red Sox were too good to have any players slumping right now.
That's right.
But both these teams lead the divisions. The Houston Astros, George Springer, he only batted 249, 15 home runs, and 46 RBIs. Somehow he was a player vote for the All-Star team.
Ridiculous.
But he batted below 250, and he's not on pace for 30 home runs. He's just a better player than that, and with the team around him, I think he will get going more. And the other guy is Rhys Hoskins. Last season in 50 games, he batted 259 with 18 home runs. This season, through 92 games, he's batting 252 with 14 home runs. And it's probably a sophomore slump, but I think he'll start doing better because the Phillies have to have him do better to win that division. I do not think that Odubel Herrera can lead your team in home runs with 16 and your team can have a top bat of 275 and win a division. If that happens, that might be the lowest numbers ever to win a division.
So second-year players usually respond well to pressure. So
That's what we know. No, but I think actually, I think Hoskins has actually been batting a little bit better. I think he really struggled out of the gate, but
Yeah, well, no, actually, Ben, through the first 2 weeks, he was top 10 average because he was a fallacy on Defend the Pond.
oh,
yeah,
So-
he needs to get rid of those the really dumb double jaw guards, and I think he'll
What's
do a
up
lot
with that?
better.
Why does he have those?
I have no idea.
safety first. I don't know.
Scared to take a punch.
He's not a switch hitter. That's just stupid.
Yeah.
That is stupid.
How does a man respond
I
when he
don't
gets
know,
hit in
man.
the mouth?
I don't have an answer.
It was so
Ask
dumb.
Cappy. Ask Cappy the next time you see him.
That'll be on the next What the Fuck Baseball.
B-Rock, you have any guys that you expect to turn things around?
Yeah, actually, it's going to be Daniel Murphy. He was sidelined to all but 29 games. He had a disastrous June, and in 15 games, he batted 200, 231 on base, 240 slugging, 0 home runs, 5 RBIs. But in July, he's turned things around. He's batting 324, 400 on base, 459 slugging, hit a home run, 6 RBIs. The slugging numbers aren't quite there, but he's finally, getting the ball in play, getting on base. Realistically, all I think he had was a bad 15-game stretch, which players have. He's a very good hitter, and his average is going to be pretty high comes the end of the season if he stays healthy. And then, Darvish, he's rested. He's coming. Watch out.
You're ready for him.
You're ready.
I think that, the Daniel Murphy thing, I think it's just because of, he hadn't seen live pitching, and the pitching is so much ahead of him anyways.
Right. He had a few games in the minors, so
yeah, that doesn't get you ready for MLB fastballs. I feel like that has to be one of the hardest things to do in sports is like come back and like hit efficiently and effectively halfway through the season.
I feel like he jumped way too fast on that slow start from him.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. But my guy that I expect to turn around, and it's gonna be Bryce Harper, and the guy was looking to be the first man to make the $400 million contract. He was wanting this big payday, and I think the pressure's kind of made him fold. And he's way too good to be playing this bad, and that's really the only data I have on him. Because, he's barely hitting his body weight. He's hitting like 218, and the guy is way too good to be doing that. I think in the second half of the season, we're going to see Bryce Harper play just more relaxed, and he's just going to go out there and just have fun with it. Kind of like we saw early in his career, the dude that would steal home, the dude that would just go out there, be super cocky, yelling at people, having fun. And I think Bryce Harper is going to absolutely go on a tear in the back half of this season.
Overrated.
That's actually going to get us segued into B-Rock Hot Take Detective. Guys, in case you guys didn't know, I'm pretty sure the only reason B-Rock even watches sports is so he can argue with me and tell me why I'm wrong on a lot of my takes. And the way that this segment works is usually I have 3. Today I only have 2. And I give Brandon a hot take, and he tells me whether or not I am right or I am wrong with my take. Usually out of the 3, I always shoot to at least get 1 right. But I don't think I've had a clean sweep yet. With 2, I think I might be able to do it. And this one's kind of ballsy because as we speak, the Home Run Derby had started 4 minutes ago. Bryce Harper, the man who will give his last big hoorah to Washington, D.C. tonight, will not only win the Home Run Derby, but be one of the very, very, very few guys to go on an absolute tear after winning the Home Run Derby and finish this season on fire.
Well, I need you to first to define to me what a tear is.
He's going to hit well over 300 in the second half of the season.
Give me a slash line. I want average on base slugging.
We'll go 300, he'll go 400 on base percentage, and then slugging, like, we'll go well over 5. Yeah, we'll go flirt with 600.
Flirt with 600. Okay.
It's like 1,000 OPS.
Yes, that's so like a 900, 1,000 OPS. What you want?
Yes.
I should just ask for the OPS, but yeah, no, that one's not happening. This guy sees less strikes than anybody in the major leagues by far. It's actually a stat that he sees the least amount. I do think he's going to turn it around. See, now if you were going to say he's going to bat 270, have his crazy on base numbers, really just have a good solid second half of the season, I can definitely see that. Because I think he can, and I think this team is going to make a move, and they're at the deadline, which I don't agree with, but they're going to make a move for a player. They're going to try to do a late playoff push and try to take advantage of those young teams. I could see Bryce Harper having a good end of the season, but I do not see him batting 300, 400, OPS in the 900s now.
So you think I'm wrong?
I do think he's going to play better, but I don't.
You think he'll win the Home Run Derby, though?
Oh, there's a very good chance he'll win the Home Run Derby.
Okay.
Yes or no,
so I'm
Brandon?
half right then.
It's a no.
He's not going to win the Home Run Derby.
Oh, wait, no, he is going to win the Home Run Derby.
Okay.
He is?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we don't do maybes here, so I'm half right. We'll give me a half point.
0.5.
So my second take. At the time of All-Star voting, Blake Snell had a 2.09 ERA, which is second in the MLB. He is now top 5 in batting average against, ERA, WAR for pitchers, and wins, and 8th in the NL in WHIP, or in the AL in WHIP. Had Corey Kluber been able to pitch this week, Snell being left out of the All-Star game would have been the biggest All-Star stub in my 23 years of life.
I'm going to start this out by saying this is a tragedy that he was not on the original, especially when it's a player vote. It makes no sense. That was abysmal. But there's been a lot of abysmal ones. And actually, this is funny because you brought up Dan Herron. I had Dan Herron on here in 2011. Only time we'll bring up Dan Herron twice in a podcast. Believe that. In 2011, he had the 7th best ERA, the 4th best WHIP, and the 10th best Ks per walk in the MLB. He was left off in the year that there were 84 All-Star selections because of alternates. To put that in perspective, there are only 74 this year. There was 10 more All-Stars that year.
And he still didn't make it?
And his WHIP, like I said, 7th best ERA in the majors, 4th best WHIP, 10th best Ks per walks.
That's pretty crazy.
That is pretty crazy. And then there was another one that I found crazy. Paul Konerko in 2004. He was left off the All-Star team. This is his slash line. 296, 384, 567, 22 home runs, and 60 RBIs in the first half. Jason Giambi made
20 home runs?
22.
Holy smokes.
Jason Giambi was made the team with a slash line of 241, 377, 439, 11 home runs, and 35 RBIs.
So it's George Springer.
Yes, George Springer made it over Rosario, basically.
Wow.
It's crazy that this happens. Absolutely crazy.
It's absolutely crazy.
Like, I'm pretty sure Giambi won the fan vote that year, but, like, how do you not put Paul Konerko in with those numbers? How do you not have somebody with the 7th best ERA in baseball not even be one of the top 84 players? Like, that's just ignorant. Like, it's so stupid. And I hate to disagree with you because Blake Snell, like, it's just abysmal. But I am disagree with you only because apparently this happens every few years because players and people are idiots.
And people, they did not make as much stink about Blake Snell not making the All-Star team.
Oh, no, they didn't at all. Like, it was like a second thought. Like, literally only, like, his teammates and Rays fans, like the 30 Rays fans that are out there, were up in arms about it. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, that's one of, I would say, though, that is the top 3 snub probably in the last 23 years because I went all the way back, and that's probably a top 3 snub. Yeah,
that's impressive. Hey, B-Reich's research is better than yours. I can guarantee that. And good finds on that.
Well, when I have to prove you wrong, I go up and beyond.
I know. Brandon will go above and beyond his Call of Duty to prove me wrong. And that right there proves it. He researched the last 23 years All-Star stubs just to find 2 that would put me out of the running.
Boom.
So 2 NBA signings this week. They're 2 of the 4 that we had talked about from last week. Smart and Capella still are yet to be signed. We have Jabari Parker. And maybe the oddest thing I've seen this offseason. He gets signed for a 2-year deal, $20 million per year, team option on the 2nd year. And the Bucks did not match the offer. Guys, what do you think about this? First off, we'll go for the Bucks, and then we'll talk about for the Bulls.
So this makes no damn sense. Jabari is a talented player with injury problems, albeit. So it makes total sense not to want to sign him to a long contract, and that's the reason I thought he was going to walk from the Bucks. But then he goes around and does a 1-and-1, and it's a team option. Like, that makes no sense. He's in 17, he shot. I was averaging 20 points a game, 6 rebounds, 37% from 3. He's got the talent. If he can stay healthy, I mean, I don't get this from the Bulls. I must be missing something. I mean, for the Bucks.
Yeah, no, I agree with you that it was done for not to match the deal and bring him back full, basically a 1-and-1. But last week I talked on the show that I thought they'd let him walk because, A, it would be a longer-term deal, 3 or 4 years.
Right.
And they just fed up with the injuries every season. And I guess they're way more fed up with the injuries than I imagined they could have been. Because they just think a no-brainer, just match this deal, look try it for 1 year. If it works out, pick up the option. If not, let him walk. But
let him walk. It's so easy.
Like, yeah, I mean, who else are they going to pay $20 million to?
Joe Prunty, bring him back.
Yeah, bench coach, $20 million. No, I mean, there's a reason they haven't got out of the first round of the playoffs since 2001. It's moves like this.
Yeah, this team just sucks. I mean, you look at they fired Jason Kidd in favor of Joe Prunty. Joe Prunty looks like a used car salesman, and Jason Kidd is like one of the smartest NBA point guards we've ever seen on a floor. And this team is just a joke. I mean, you look at Jabari Parker. You take out the injuries, this guy is a legitimate 2010 guy, and he's going to be, an all-star next year. And you have Giannis, and what do you really have after that? You have Thon Maker, who all he can do is drop kick dudes. You have Delly that you're paying. Leighton, give me a quick Google on what they're paying Delly real quick while I go.
Well, I think they're paying Chris Middleton like $20 million. I could be wrong there.
Oh, they're paying Chris Middleton over $20 million. Yeah, I mean Chris Middleton, he's good.
He's good.
Yeah, but
someone spelled Dellavedova.
I got it.
D-E.
I got it.
So if you're going to make it to the NBA Finals, you either have to have LeBron James or three really good players. And right now, Chris Middleton, he's on the cusp of like being a good player. You have Giannis, who's a very, very good player. And I feel like Jabari's that third man out that they're just missing in that rotation. And you look at their starting lineup for next year, it would have been ridiculous if Jabari would have been healthy. And now what are you basically going with? I mean, this team is more in love with John Henson than Jabari Parker.
Oh, well, you're forgetting they have Tony Snell.
Tony Snell, yes. Yes.
That's their starting four.
That was the biggest laughing stock I'd ever seen in my life. When Tony Snell was getting quality minutes over Jabari Parker last year in the postseason. You just want to look at a guy like Joe Prunty and say, what the hell are you doing?
Just punch him in the face.
What's Delly making?
Yeah, give us that contract.
9.6 this year, 9.6 next year. Then he's free agent, unrestricted.
So what would you rather have? 1 year of Jabari Parker or 2 years of Delly?
1 year of Jabari.
Jabari Parker. I'm just confused because, okay, they saved $20 million. Why?
Why? Exactly.
What have they done in this offseason?
It's for 1 year. It's not like there's no more people they're going to bring in right now.
Capella. They're going for Capella hard.
They're going for Capella.
They're going to do Thon and Capella down low.
Oh my God!
Dude, between
Twin Towers,
between those two guys and fucking Giannis, are some long dudes.
Those are
this
some
team's
long.
I am gonna go ahead and say it now. Giannis,
he walks. He's gonna end
up
up
walking. As soon as he can.
Yeah, he's gonna walk for sure.
He'll be restricted though, right? When he comes up, or
no?
He's all. I don't think he is, but I'll tell you.
Yeah, he's on the big boy deal because he's making some pretty good cash. Another guy that got signed. I kind of joked about it earlier on my thoughts. Kind of compared him to Nate Robinson. It might have been a short joke, but it was a good one. Isaiah Thomas signed to the Nuggets, 1 year, $2 million. What do you guys think about that deal? Isaiah Thomas for $2 million. 2 years ago, we were talking about him being a legitimate MVP candidate. Now we're talking about how he's signing for the league man.
Real quick, Giannis, after the 2021 season, will be an unrestricted free agent. He would definitely be walking away from
he's walking.
Bucks.
First of all, it's Milwaukee, so okay.
But on the IT, but I guess people really, really scared of that hip injury. And we see a lot of one-year deals going down right now because we know the next year free agent class is loaded. And I think this is just the nature of the beast. He's an injured veteran at this point. No one knows what he really is. And it's time for vet minimum. So Douglas Myers just got a hell of a bargain.
Yeah, I mean, I just read this should be a cautionary tale to every professional athlete. Never put the team before yourself. Which says, I mean, like, you want to be a team player, but yeah, no. This is a business. And unless your name's Dirk Nowitzki, your team is going to screw you in the end.
Even Dirk, dude. Dirk took that big pay cut, and he said, go sign me some free agents. What did they do? They turned that into fucking Wesley Matthews and 20 wins.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, like it's a business, and when you don't have the value, they're going to cut you. He basically screwed himself out $100 million by trying to be a team player, put the team on his back, play through injury, play through his sister's death, and now he's making $2.1 million. But Denver got a steal. They were one away, I think, from getting a playoff spot last year, and now they have
2 games away from the 4 seed.
Yeah, they have a hell of a scorer coming off the bench now if he's healthy. You got Gary Harris, Jamal Murray, IT. They're all pretty good scorers. I could see them making the playoffs next year.
Dude, I'm willing to say that if the Nuggets, if MPJ was healthy and Paul Millsap plays next season healthy, like if all things considered, this team is healthy next year, I think that this team is a legitimate 4 seed in the playoffs. Like, I think that it just goes. The guards on this team is just so underrated, and they're all really, really good. And then you add in a guy like Isaiah Thomas, who can come in off the bench, score almost immediately. You know, he's going to be a little bit of a defensive liability. But, I mean, this team is stacked with talent. Mm-hmm. And I'm excited for the Nuggets to watch them play. Are they dead set that MPJ is going to miss the whole entire season? Has that been said yet?
I don't think so, but I think it's realistic he's going to miss a good portion. But I could see him missing the whole season.
I really hope that he doesn't, because I think that this team will be fun to watch next year. Jokic, he's always fun to watch. He's a 7-footer who runs the floor. He's going to put up triple-doubles. I mean, how many times do we really see bigs like him? You know, how many times do we see bigs put up triple-doubles? Rarely. And Jokic is doing that. And then you have a little 5'8" guy who's out there just putting up buckets off the bench. I'm pretty sure he's going to accept that role. He's going to try to use this 1 year to springboard him into a long-term deal next year, make some money. And I hope he does. I hope he's able to bounce back. I hope he's able to give teams quality minutes off the bench, because really he doesn't deserve $2 million. He deserves more than that. And for a guy who did, like you said, tried to play through injury, hurt himself even worse, that sucks. That absolutely sucks. And whenever people want to sit there and say, oh, a guy's on his contract year, oh, he doesn't want to sign for that. No, because he's trying to, he's trying, because things like this happen. Things like Isaiah Thomas absolutely happen, and it's a shame. But I think Nuggets are going to be a playoff team next year. Do you guys agree with that?
I think so.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, I think IT does enough to put him over the top if he's healthy. So, guys, staple of the show, darts.
Pew, 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 pew. We're playing darts, baby.
We play darts every week, and if you guys don't know how darts work, each one of us will throw a single dart at a board, and each number represents something. And Leighton, what do we have this week?
Is it a sports back?
Is it a sport is back. So each one of us will throw, this is my favorite game, each one of us will throw one dart apiece, and we will discuss whether or not the sport that it lands on, sport or activity, we'll use that word loosely, whether or not that sport or activity is considered a sport. Leighton C., producer, you got the hot seat, your throw.
We have a 14. 14 is bull riding.
Oh.
Now,
bull riding.
Now this is a tricky one, because we've said on this show
tricky.
time and time again that if it involves an animal, it is not a sport. Hunting and fishing both lost because of that. But this is an actual athletic event, I feel. I feel like Cody, I know it's done mechanical board, I know Drake has a few times, but I feel like it definitely takes up a body strength to hold onto that lasso or whatever around that bull's neck and just throwing you down and shit. There's also a lot of danger in this.
A lot of danger.
I'm sure getting run into or kicked by a bull hurts pretty fucking bad.
Yeah.
So out of the acknowledgement that takes strength and I have respect for bull riders overall, I'm going to say it's a sport.
I was definitely going to make that point if you didn't. Like, we've said horseback riding, we said NASCAR driving, that's not sport, but
hunting,
bull
not
riding,
a sport.
Hunting with a knife, though, is a sport.
Hunting with a knife, because your
And
life's
this
on the
is
line.
a little bit more like hunting with a knife. I mean, you're basically risking your life. You're going up against. Yeah, bull riding is definitely a sport, because if you look at your best bull riders, I mean, they definitely have some athletic ability. They definitely do, and at very least, they have the best grip strength I've ever seen. It's just ridiculous. This is a sport.
I bet those dudes could actually beat Todd Zilla in arm wrestling if they wanted to.
Oh, I don't know, man.
Todd Zilla's the GOAT.
Or is Todd Zilla the best bull rider that we don't know about?
Oh,
I bet Todd
I like that.
I bet he'd be a pretty good bull rider.
I bet Todd Zilla would wrap his hand around that thing, and he would not come off that bull for nothing. But no, I think this is absolutely a sport. I mean, you're talking about getting on top of, what is the largest animal used in a sport?
Probably a bull. I don't know if a grizzly bear is used in any sports, but
Probably a bull.
Probably a bull.
And bull's probably bigger than him. And these guys are getting on top of this animal and riding them. And, these animals are mad. These animals are trying to kill him. These animals are trying to throw him off. And these dudes are going all out for, I know it's only 8 seconds, but, We're guys. That's good for us. So I don't see why, you can knock him for that. I think bull riding, hands down, is a sport. And if you don't think it's a sport, I want you to go tell a bull rider that. I want you to go tell that 5'8" bull rider that bull riding is not a sport.
You made another really good point. Not only are you competing against the competition, other bull riders, you're competing against your life.
Yes,
Yeah.
your life is on the line.
You can really dive
This is
into
a
this
double
thing.
whammy.
Yeah, and most of those guys don't even wear helmets. They wear hats.
They know bitches.
That makes no sense to me.
For everybody out there that does not know, Todd Zilla, it's a professional arm wrestler. Absolute
Yeah.
badass. Check him out.
Yeah, look up Todzilla. So, guys, unanimous bull riding sport.
Oh, yeah.
Belonging to the sport.
Nice.
Okay. B-Reich, your throw.
We have a 17. Man, guys, we're really getting down on the list of sports. We have Marco Polo.
Marco Polo. Is it a
All right.
sport?
Marco Polo. So, Marco Polo, we've all played the game. Childhood favorite. Most of the time at birthday parties, one kid got picked on and they were Marco the whole fucking time.
Yeah, it sounds
yeah.
like there's some little anger here. Brandon, were you Marco?
Yes, Toby and you used to pick on me relentlessly. There's a lot of strategy that is involved, and I mean, I guess you can pick on the weaker ones. So in a sense, it is a sport, and you are competing.
It's Darwinism.
I think that, I mean, maybe this is the purest sport. Like you said, this is like Darwinism. This is almost like an evolution deal.
This is
The
the
strong
purest-
survive, the weaker are going to just have their eyes closed in water and feel like they're drowning most of the time.
Marco Polo is a pure sport.
I played I'm pretty sure me, Toby, and Drake played Marco Polo for about an hour, and I was Marco for 59 minutes of it. One
Yeah.
time. So, I don't know. I'm in between. I want to hear what you guys say, and I'll make my decision.
See, here's my thing. On top of Marco Polo, if you are... Okay, so who has his eyes closed? Marco or Polo?
Polo.
Polo?
Yeah,
Okay.
because you're calling for Marco.
Polo. Yeah,
calling for
you're right,
Polo.
you're right. I had that backwards.
So, Polo. Why doesn't Polo just open his eyes? In any other sport,
'Cause
you
cheating.
can use your eyes.
It's like PEDs.
Yes,
Okay.
and you know what? There are chronic eye peekers, and that's like PEDs. Like,
That was me. That was
Yes.
me, 100%. I was a peeker all the time. I'd go under the water. I'd
You and
open my
Toby.
eyes. I could swim. I could keep my eyes open underwater with chlorine for hours. That's
For
more of a sport
hours.
than Marco Polo itself. Keeping your eyes open underwater with chlorine in the water. I can't. This is definitely not a sport. There's not another sport where they inhibit one of your senses and you're not able to use it. There's not a sport where you can't use your eyes, you can't use sound, you can't use your taste.
Wait, what
Taste
are you
out,
tasting?
I mean, they don't ever.
what
they
are
don't
you
keep-
tasting in sports?
Hey,
though?
there was the guy in the NHL playoffs who was licking people, and they came out and said he shouldn't be doing it, but they didn't say he couldn't do it. And in this sport, they say that you cannot look. Since they are doing that, taking away one of your vital senses, I say that Marco Polo is not a sport.
Is Marco Polo taking away your tasting sense?
No, but it's taking away your sense
Oh.
of sight.
But what about soccer? You can't touch the ball with your hands.
Yeah, but you can feel the ball with your feet.
I get
And soccer is also not a sport. Soccer's also not a sport. We're not
Oh,
going to get into that though.
Okay.
A lot of World Cup guys out there right now.
What do we think? Lynn?
Yeah, Marco Polo. It's just not a sport. It's not.
Yeah.
Dude, it's you know
Wait a
what?
second. Well, since we're on soccer, just give me one word, okay? Would you rather watch NFL preseason game or the World Cup final from your couch? Couch.
World Cup final.
World Cup final. I actually
Wow.
watched it at a bar at 10 in the morning.
I watched them at
I
House
was
of
pretty
Tim.
intoxicated, but no, it's fun. It's definitely fun watching around people.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it.
But to watch soccer, I need it to be like the finals.
Yeah, it has to mean a lot for me to watch a
Yeah.
soccer game.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not
I
talking
didn't-
quarterfinals, semis. No. I want
Okay.
somebody to win something at the end.
Okay, but so Marco Polo 2-1, not a sport.
Not
Or
a
be
sport.
right. Wait,
I'm gonna go ahead and I can't. I'm gonna go ahead and say sport. It's
Sport?
gonna lose anyway. It's gonna lose anyway. I'm gonna say sport.
2-1. Marco Polo is not a sport. Now,
The purest
my throw.
athletes.
We have a 2. Boxing.
Boxing?
Boxing.
This is absolutely a sport. It takes cardio, it takes endurance, it takes strength, it takes agility, it takes coordination. If you're looking at something for like the absolute most underlying definition of a sport, any of the martial arts are that. And if I don't say that it's a sport, I'll have Thomas at my ass on Wednesday whenever we record Knuckle Sandwich. So I'm going to go 100% boxing is a sport.
Well,
yeah, go Leighton. Looks like you got some.
boxing, I do not consider to be a sport because boxing is essentially MMA with no going to the ground. And
Or kicking.
So it's
kicking.
not MMA at all. It's only a single facet of MMA.
Okay, well, do what else has that single facet of MMA? A
What?
whole lot of bar fights. So unless I've been in 5 or 6 boxing matches in my life, I'm not considering this a sport. It's just not one. It's two people hitting each other in the face as hard as they can.
Yeah, but there's rules.
There are also unwritten rules in bar fights. No going for the nuts.
That's
No.
true.
Now, how many times are those broken?
A lot.
So you legitimately think that boxing is not a sport?
I don't consider it to be as much of a sport as, say, basketball or baseball or football is. No.
I consider an MMA to be more of a sport than boxing.
Yes. MMA,
It takes
though,
more athleticism.
it does
Yes.
more athleticism.
But you know what, Leighton, I'm going to come back with this for you. You're going to look Rocky Balboa in the face and tell him he's not an athlete.
Yeah. How about for that eye of the tiger?
Huh?
I'll do it.
No, you won't.
No, you won't.
Your life would end in seconds.
Mike Tyson, if you're listening, call into the show next week. I'll tell you it's not a sport.
Oh, Lord. Him and that stutter would struggle.
That'll go real low, Latham.
I'm going to say it's a sport. Sylvester Stallone's, he's an athlete.
Yeah.
Give it to him.
Sylvester Stallone is the pinnacle of athlete. LeBron James, move over. There's a new king in town. But yes, I think boxing is absolutely a sport. Boxing, fun to watch, takes every single thing that you would say that a sport takes. Boxing has it, with the exception of maybe jumping.
Yeah, no jumping.
Yeah. But high jump's not a sport, so we don't have to worry about that. So 2-1, boxing is a sport.
Boxing is a sport.
Okay. So boxing won. I can live with that. So guys, this is another thing we've been trying out. We've been testing the waters on it, seeing if we like it as a segment to stick around. And so far, I love it. I don't know if the viewers love it. We need some input. People need to start talking to us, chirping at us at the Saucy Pod on Twitter, on Instagram. Let us know what you think about this.
Slide into them DMs.
The shittiest take of the week. So, way this works, it was inspired by Colin Cowherd, who is the man of the worst takes in sports. Ben Simmons, a top 5 player in the NBA, stuff like that. Stuff that really gets us going. And it has made me pay attention to the idiots of the sports world. I've watched more Will Kane than I've watched in my life this week. And I'm just like gearing up for this segment, trying to get firepower. And mine actually did not come from any guy from like a radio show or TV show. It's actually pretty interesting. B-Reich, you got that look in your eye. You kind of look like Kobe right now. I'll let you take the floor. Give me your shittiest sports take of the week.
Well, actually, I would like to go last.
You want to go last?
I want to go last. I want to.
You want the last shot, so you are Kobe.
You are
I am
Kobe today.
I'm surprised you just
I'm batting the
us 3
3 hole right
takes.
now.
You should have taken my take, Leighton's take, and your take. Then you'd be Kobe. Leighton, you go first.
Okay, I'll go ahead and go. So mine's actually from the guy who inspired the segment, Colin Cowherd. This is a few weeks old. We had a segment last week, but I saved it because this is pure gold. 3 or 4 days after LeBron signed with the Lakers, people were saying how it wasn't a good basketball move, blah, 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 but it makes sense from a business standpoint. Colin Cowherd, went on the radio and started comparing LeBron James to, Warren Buffett and other great businessmen for the decisions he's made. He's then went on to talk about how many times LeBron's been to the championship and compared him to another athlete. Here is the quote. LeBron's been to the finals 9 out of 15 years, 60% of the time. Who do I compare that to? Tom Brady, 8 years, 8 Super Bowls. Similarly, 60% of the time. So let's do some math check real quick. 9 divided by 15 is indeed 60%. 8,
Got 1 for 1.
8 divided by 18 is not 60%. He then continues on, talking about Warren Buffett and all the other businessmen, about how they compare to the athletes, and says at the end, LeBron James, Tom Brady, they both get the championship game more often than they do not. So again, let's do a math check. 15 minus 9 equals 6. Yes, lower number than 9. 18 minus 8 equals 10, not 7.
18 minus 8 equals 10, not 7.
Evidently, when you move to California, you forget how to do math because anything else in your life is too often to pay attention to such feeble things.
He just became such an ass since he moved to LA.
Yeah, dude.
Dude, his takes have gotten worse. Like,
Yes.
I'm pretty sure somebody used to monitor his takes, but now, like, since he, like, you know, moved shows and everything, they're kind of just like, all right, Colin, you're in charge of your own research. And he's sitting there in his lab.
Colin.
Yeah, here's the keys to the car, and he's sitting there just scratching his head trying to figure out 7 plus 8. What does that equal?
18. Yep. All right.
God, he's awesome. So, B-Rock, you want to go last? We'll let you take the last shot. Mine comes from Ben McAdoo. If you guys don't remember Ben McAdoo, it's the guy with probably the best hair in the NFL last year. He was the New York Giants football coach, had a sweet mustache, had the shades, you know, had the slick back, had the bowl cut, had it all. So this was the first time that he'd come out since his firing this past season. And he had an interview with the New York Post, and he talked to Paul Schwartz. So Paul Schwartz asked him, how will the Giants do with Shermer as the head coach? And Ben McAdoo, his direct quote, I think they'll win the division. Okay, let me ask you this. He even mentioned the fact that Pat Shermer was going to be coaching this team. Are you telling me that you know that you are such a bad coach that the team that you coached to the second overall pick of the NFL draft is good enough to win the division? You're telling me that you know you're that bad and you're admitting that you're that bad? You ousted yourself. Like, you could have at least said, like, oh, yeah, they're not that talented. Like, oh, I think they'll do all right. But you have the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles in the same division as the team that you completely blew apart last year and started Geno Smith as your starting quarterback in 1 week. And you are going to come on to the first outing, not as the Giants head coach, and say that this team is good enough to win the division. You're crazy. You're crazy. You ousted yourself. You told everybody that I'm a bad coach, and that's just this is the worst. This is the worst kind of take, because not only is it a bad take, it just makes you lose money.
Or he just thinks that they were one rookie running back away from taking 2 wins to a division lead.
Dude, I was actually I read more of the article, and he actually gave his input on the draft. He said that they did a really good job drafting Saquon Barkley, and he wouldn't draft Sam Darnold because of his arm motion. But I'll tell you who he would bring in and start:
Geno
Smith.
But,
So
have you seen his arm motion? Fluid.
yeah, the incredible quarterback whisperer of Ben McAdoo gives Sam Darnold a big F. So we'll see how that works out. Be right, your take.
Time for this legendary take that we had to wait 5 minutes for.
Well, it's not legendary. It's just, it's not really even a take. It's just ridiculousness, okay? So Scott Boras, the super agent for baseball.
Time out. Before you get to that, if you want ridiculousness, listen to the Will Kane show. It is seriously 3 hours of him talking. Nothing else.
Also, Spain Fitz starts at 5 o'clock Central Time. Complete garbage.
Spain and Fitz, you can't even mention that because there's two of them. Will Kane is just talking over and over and over and over and over. And then he'll have a guest on, and he'll debate them for like 1 or 2 back and forths, and then he just cuts their mic, and it's just him talking and talking. It's like, well, of course you're going to be right. You get the last word. Be right, you go.
So Scott Boras, another guy who never thinks he's wrong, Scott Boras, super agent, pretty much the reason that baseball players started getting really, really ridiculous contracts. He came on earlier and he blamed all the teams for tanking. That's why his players weren't getting super max deals. Or maybe it was just because he was representing batters that were like batting 260 with 20 home runs, and he thinks they should get $100 million. So, Scott Boras on the shift in baseball. Shifting is grandly discriminatory. In the game against left-handed hitters, you're affecting baseball on many, many levels in a negative way. He said, 1, players are at a bigger risk for injury playing out of position. Number 2, players have always pulled the ball hard. You can't expect them to change how they have done things for a lot of years. And 3, he says, we'll see less lefties in the future because parents will make their kids be right-handed.
Dude, are you serious? He said that?
Yes. Yes, because that's how discriminatory. And so then Bryce Harper actually, they were asking him, about what Scott Boras said because Scott Boras is Harper's agent. He said Harper also said there is no way to beat the shift.
No way. You can't bunt down the third baseline.
Other than hitting a home run. No, he said you're not paid to bunt. Okay, here's a couple things.
Let me tell you this, Boras. If you bat 1,000 and you bunt every single time, you'll get paid.
You'll get paid.
Brandon, before you read your thing off, I didn't play baseball in high school. But isn't the point of the game to hit the ball whether or not, regardless of where they're at?
That actually has been said since about the 20s, I'm pretty sure. That is the goal. Now, okay, I get it a little bit. The shift is there for people that have a tendency to pull. And now pitchers are so good, they're putting the ball into a situation where it's hard to hit the other way. But when you don't have a defender on that side of the field, it doesn't matter how hard you hit it. Yeah, it's pretty. Or you can do like a little swinging bunt. It doesn't matter. Like these guys are so good.
Just get the ball in play.
They can put it the other way. It's just people like Bryce Harper are seeing only like a 30% of pitches. I mean, like 30% of pitches in the zone. So when they get a pitch in the zone, they want to try to yank it, and you're batting like 218 because of it. Number 1, players being at a bigger risk for injury because they're playing out of position is just stupid. Okay. That's just silly. That's ignorant.
If people were not allowed to play out of position, Ben Zobrist wouldn't have a job.
Yes. Number 2, he said players have always pulled the ball. He's like, there's no way to beat the shift. You can't do it. Why isn't every player shifted on then? If there's no way to beat it, why isn't every person shifted? Yeah. Evidently, some people are beating it. Why isn't Jose Altuve is righty, but Chris Bryant is shifted on because he pulls every ground ball to the left. I'm pretty sure he hit like 4 ground balls to the right side last year. So he's shifted on. Jose Altuve will never see a shift. Then, believe it or not, Scott, most parents aren't that concerned about their children's handiness. They're more concerned about if they're just healthy. What was that one quarter?
You know that there's one parent out there who spanks his son every time he picks up a bat and swings it left-handed. He said, son, I'll tell you what. We will never fall victim of a shift. And he makes his son hit right-handed. I love that guy.
Oh,
kudos
Lord.
to him. Hats off to that dad.
Well, there was like one football player quarterback.
John Malkovich.
Yes, that's the only dad that I've heard of that's forced their kid to be left-handed. So
I love it, dude. Jeez,
Scott, he just has a very detached sense of reality. If he thinks we're all having kids just to become left-handed hitters and make it pros.
That's awesome. I love Scott Boras. But did you guys see the other day Brian Dozier beat the shift? Did you see that?
He hit a home run or something? Or?
They brought 5 guys into the infield, bottom 10, bases yacked, 1 out. They brought 5 guys in the infield, played them all short. He put one fucking 450 feet into the bleachers. It was awesome.
Only way to beat the shift.
That's how you beat the shift, Scott Boras.
Only way to do it.
And you know what? Like, we're all acting like this is a new thing. And yes, over the last 5 years, this has been used more than at any time in baseball. But number 1, Ted Williams had to shift on him a lot. that he was actually the first player to ever had the shift put up against him. So it's been relevant since Ted Williams, okay? So it's not like it's a new age thing. Ted Williams still was an all-pro. He didn't bat 218. He figured out a way to get I mean, of course, he was playing probably lesser pitchers, but he figured it out.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous to think that. And I don't know.
Scott
you know
Boras
what?
the GOAT.
The Cubs never shift, and they're still a good team. So it's not like I don't know. There's a lot of flaws.
It's all about preference. It's preference and luck.
And you know what? Bryce Harper's going to have to adjust. That's all there is.
Yeah, you can't. Whenever you're taking money out of Scott Boras' hands, that's whenever you see the shifts go down.
He actually said the MLB should step in and forbid shifts. The shortstop has to stay at shortstop. Third has to stay at third.
Yeah, they're going to come up with player zones where you have to stand
There's circles.
And then you can only use like 15 pitches that you're going to line up for a double play depth.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's going to be awesome. I can't wait for that. Scott Boras' MLB would be an interesting thing. There would never be a double play.
He'd be rich as fuck. Richer,
Yes, he would.
richer than he already is.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and transition to a little football. We have some news and notes, but before we get to that, we're going to get everybody back into the football frame of mind, and Leighton C. is going to bring his trivia back. Leighton, you have 2 football trivia questions for us today?
I do, and they both revolve on the college football game, which, Drake, I know is your quote-unquote specialty. They're tough, though. They're tough questions.
Lay 'em on me, boss.
The first question. Since 2000, only 2 players have had a game where they threw for 500 yards and ran for 100 yards. Name me one of the players.
Lamar Jackson.
Wrong. Brandon, your guess?
One of these is going to be – one of these guys is not even going to be a running quarterback.
Patrick
500
Mahomes.
yards is a ton.
Wrong. I'll give you a hint.
No. Don't tell me who it is.
Okay, I'll give you a hint, though. One happened last season.
One of them happened last season. I was going to guess maybe Vince Young had done that.
Nope. Ben, let's guess.
Boykin? Well, it wasn't last year, but
Nope.
one of them.
Last season. Man, I can't think. The only thing I could think of is Johnny Manziel and Tim Tebow. And then from last season, I would have said Lamar Jackson, but that can't be right because you said it's not. I don't know.
Let's hear it.
The first one is some guy named Dak Dysert. In 2012, he played for Miami, Ohio against Akron.
Well, that was fair.
The next guy was Quentin Flowers.
Quentin Flowers
from
from
South-
USF.
He did it against Central Florida.
Oh, yeah. That was a big – dude, they scored like 50 points that game.
Yeah. So that's a tough one. The next one has more options, don't worry.
Okay.
Again, since 2000, only 5 players have had a game where they threw for 4 touchdowns and ran for 3 touchdowns.
How many players?
5. One of these players threw for 5 and ran for 3. You name that player, you get a bonus point.
That must be the guy who played at Miami of Ohio or something like that.
Nope.
Was Tim Tebow on any of these?
Not Tim Tebow.
No, Tebow wouldn't have thrown for that many.
I know, that's a lot.
The only ones I can think of that put up a ton of points on their team, I would lean towards like Dennis Dixon, Jeremiah Masoli, or Mariota.
Right.
Because
Mariota's
that's a
good.
lot of touchdowns.
All incorrect.
Any of those right? All incorrect. Wow.
Brandon?
Did Jake Locker ever do it just one time? Jake Locker had like 2 really good games.
No, Jake Locker did not do that.
Jake Locker became a billionaire off 2 games.
Any more guesses?
This
When
is
was
tough.
the most recent one?
2016.
2016.
Did that guy from Northern Illinois do it?
Did Dak Prescott ever do it?
No.
Wow. Who
No,
was
both of those.
Jordan Lynch, you're thinking of.
Yes.
Well, Paxton Lynch happened to do it,
Paxton Lynch, wow.
as did Keith Price in 2011.
Was it whenever he played Ole Miss, Paxton Lynch?
Whenever he played Brigham Young.
Oh, that makes sense.
Definitely not an SEC school.
Well, he had an awesome game against Ole Miss.
Lamar Jackson did it against Boston
Yeah.
College. Riley
That makes
Dodge.
sense.
Oh, Riley
Against
Dodge.
Boston College?
Yeah. Good
Boston
old
College
Riley.
is a good defense.
Good old Riley Dodge from North Texas did against Kentucky. And
UNT.
And the guy with the 5 touchdowns and 3 touchdowns was Taj Boyd. against
Oh,
from
that's a
Clemson
good one.
against
Gosh.
NC State.
Wow, those are impressive numbers. Not as impressive as the numbers that the Steelers are sending to Le'Veon Bell. Little NFL news and notes right now. Le'Veon Bell, Steelers placed the $14.5 million franchise tag on him. Bell is unhappy. His agent has since then said that his client most likely is in his last season as a Steeler. Bell came out and said that he might miss up to 8 games next year. Guys, what do we make of this mess?
It's an absolute mess, just like you said. Like, honestly, we were talking about it before the show a little bit. Can he just sit out if he's getting paid?
I don't think that that's legal.
Or is he going to, like, try to, like, he's already said he's going to sit out 8 games, and then he's going to pull a Kawhi Leonard and say he's hurt?
Yeah, that'd be really impressive. This
is, okay, so twofold here. Like, number one, yes, you should get the contract you want. You should try to make it work. Isaiah Thomas, you have all those. He could get injured next year. He doesn't make his money. At the same time, you got to be, I think, a little bit realistic with the money you're trying to get. I think the Steelers probably were going to give him a decent contract, but he is a running back. Running backs have a short shelf life, and they're one injury away. They're not going to get quarterback money.
Right.
And he's getting paid $15 million this year. That's insane for a running back.
Yeah, and you look at, like, the highest average salary compared to that is $8 million. It's
right.
Devontae Freeman making the most money. But my thing is you know, I'm never going to be the guy who sits there and says, like, sign the contract. You're playing a game for, you know, money. You know, I'm never going to be that guy sitting up here and saying it. You are worth what you think you're worth, and if nobody will pay you that, you'll be without a job,
right.
basically. And with Lev Bell, this is just two hard-headed people going up against each other. Like, the Steelers never should have placed the franchise tag on him, for one.
Right.
And two, they should have worked towards a long-term deal. But if they couldn't get anything done and they did sign place the franchise tag on him, like, Lev Bell has nothing else to do other than show up and play. And he's worth quite a bit, and he is good. He's one of the most irreplaceable running backs in the league. But you say that with a grain of salt because, you know, whenever D'Angelo Williams stepped up in his place, like, Steelers offense didn't miss a beat. He was still getting 200 yards all purpose. He is still getting touchdowns. It's not like the team missed a whole lot, but he's good. He's very good.
Very
you can't
good.
argue that. One of the best, I would say the best, dual-purpose running backs in the game. But the Steelers, if you look at the roster and the makeup of each team, they would be top to bottom your favorite to go to the AFC Championship if everybody's getting along, everybody's healthy, everybody's playing well.
Mm-hmm.
And Le'Veon Bell's a big piece of that. So the Steelers need to throw their pride out of the window and think, hey, we need to pay the guy. Like, we need to pay him. We need to give him a long-term deal. But I think they should not have given him the franchise tag, because by franchise tagging him, you're making his pockets obviously fatter, and you put yourself in kind of an odd spot, because you're going to play this season even with Le'Veon Bell. If you play with him, you're really not. He's going to be against you guys the whole entire season. We've seen problems in the locker room from the team, and it's been a mess in the past. And this is basically two butting heads, and I don't know who's to blame.
How much was he asking for?
He was asking for, like, upper echelon wide receiver money.
Yeah, and I don't think the Steelers should pay him. Why?
No.
Why? Like, what was the last good Super Bowl? What team in the Super Bowl that had a stud running back?
When was the last team to win the Super Bowl with a stud running back?
Probably
Well,
the Seahawks.
Well, they even
with
when
Lynch,
got to
but
one.
It was probably the Seahawks with Lynch, but that's not the reason they got there. I mean, it was their defense, but
Unless Wilson
Yeah,
was
dude.
balling out
Good luck.
again.
Good luck making a Super Bowl paying a running back $10 million.
Yeah,
Right.
I started Steelers 100%. There's no way I paid Le'Veon Bell that much money. Like, it's absurd. Because think about last year. Starting running back last year with Deion Lewis and freaking Jay Ajayi.
yeah, I mean,
LeGarrette Blunt. Back-to-back years of LeGarrette Blunt.
to look at Drake's like point, it's they did put themselves, because now they're still paying him $15 million, and he's a pissed off $15 million player.
Yeah,
and I don't think a contract's getting done. But at the same time,
no, it can't now. They have to shelf it.
Yeah.
They cannot further negotiations.
Next year, right?
Yeah, today was the last day.
So it's pretty much ruined. But at the same time, I think Lev Bell's just hurting him. He thinks he's going to be saving himself by not playing, but in reality, I think he's going to be hurting himself.
How many people are going to go out there and go after a running back who's all about me?
Right, and it's running back. It's not like the NBA with Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard, if he wants to play, it's 1 in 5, and running back's 1 in an 11 side of the ball. Like it's just a weird situation for sure.
Yeah, I'm almost to the point that I'm like, if the Steelers are going to franchise tag you, you made $12 million last year. You're going to make $15 million this year. I would say that $26 million is more than it's guaranteed money. The $26 million is guaranteed money. I am willing to say that $26 million is the most money an NFL running back has ever made over a duration of a career. Because the NFL contracts are so wishy-washy.
Yeah.
You have Devontae Freeman, who is making, I think it's 5 years, $41 million. You know how much that's guaranteed? 5 years, $41 million.
Probably like 18 or 20.
$16 million guaranteed. $16 million guaranteed of the biggest NFL contract ever at the running back position. Lev Bell has doubled that up in 2 seasons. Guaranteed. He better play it out. And if he sits, he's going to lose a lot of money. So another unfortunate story in the NFL. T.O. and getting inducted to the Hall of Fame, but I guess there's like an NFL Hall of Fame like speaker or an NFL Hall of Fame board, and they have decided that they will not individually award T.O. this season because he has declined to go. What do we make of this?
Just to clarify, he's still getting in the Hall of Fame. He will not be honored at the ceremony.
And getting like a bust and everything. But
yeah, so if you don't agree with this because you're not going to be there, you're stupid, and here's why. In 2015, the top 2 pick of James Winston and Marcus Mariota, neither of them attended the draft. Could you imagine the 2015 draft started and Goodell said, with the 3rd pick overall, Jaguars select Dante Fowler Jr.? Like,
that Mariota to be desired.
Mariota and Winston get drafted, but they're not announced because they didn't want to go. I might be wrong in that comparison, but I feel like that's the exact same thing.
Well,
that's
pretty damn
100%
close.
the thing. Yeah.
And it's just the Hall of Fame being petty, and nobody does it to them. So they're like being asses about it. Yeah. It's like they think that they're so great that nobody will ever skip it. But you know what? T.O.'s an odd bird. T.O.'s making it about himself, but the Hall of Fame's just being petty. They're actually not even sending him his jacket until a day after, so he can't wear it on camera. Like, because clearly there's gonna be a camera wherever T.O. is.
Yeah, T.O.'s gonna make his own jacket now.
So he's
gonna be running a 4.40 in the jacket, making his comeback.
It's so petty. It's so petty from both sides. But I'm actually way more disappointed in the Hall of Fame because I kind of expected T.O. to do something like this. So
yeah, it's a bummer. That's a bummer. The NFL Hall of Fame is really making a mockery of themselves. I mean, it's not like a cool kids club. Like, for real, they're making it sound like it's like you're in or you're out. Like, and that's not right. T.O. deserves it. T.O. put the work in for it. Now, just because he's not showing up to your party doesn't necessarily mean that he still isn't a part of the club. That's absolutely crazy. He put his work in. He put his time in. You made him wait extra years that he shouldn't have had to wait. And at the end of the day, this just shows how petty and how meaningless. And I'm going to use that term, meaningless. The Hall of Fame votes actually are. We know who the good players are. We know who the great players are. Just because some guy who's writing for some almanac thinks that a dude should be in the Hall of Fame doesn't necessarily say that he's the best player of all time. You look at the greatest hitter of all time, and not as far as home runs, but his hits, Pete Rose, not in a Hall of Fame. And a guy like Terrell Owens, who's easily a top 20 all-time receiver had to wait a couple years. Any guy who's top 20 in his position should never wait.
I don't get why they put so much weight on being this certain type of person. Who cares? Who cares if he was a great teammate? But on the same sense, a lot of players still enjoy.
He played with a broken leg in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
he's a good teammate.
Yeah, he put everything out there. Yeah, he caused some distractions. Yeah, he did such and such. But you said he's a top 20 player in his positions, arguably top 5 receiver of all time. And you keep him out, and then you wonder why he's a little upset. Yeah, T.O. was a child about it, but the Hall of Fame was even worse, in my opinion.
Dude, you know who reminds me a lot of Terrell Owens, and especially with the trajectory of his career.
OBJ.
I know he didn't have the explosion numbers that T.O. did, but Brandon Marshall, and we all look at Brandon Marshall as a first ballot Hall of Famer. He has the career numbers. He had some injuries. He had a lot of stuff that happened with his career. But I mean, just because he's kind of an idiot, are you really going to leave him out of the Hall of Fame for 5 years? No.
I highly doubt Brandon Marshall's the first ballot Hall of Famer.
No, but I mean, he's the same type of person, not on the same type of scale. You know, and I feel like a guy like Brandon Marshall is going to have to wait longer than he should because of that, and it's not fair. That's not fair. Good players deserve to be in, and the bad players don't deserve to be. I mean, you're not going to elevate a guy to Hall of Fame status just because he's a nice guy.
Well, they do. Kurt Warner was. I don't. That was kind of a. Kurt Warner got it in over T.O.
That's true. Ballot. That's true. So. Kurt Warner, hell of a guy.
He is a hell of a guy. He is a hell of a guy, and he was a good player, but not better player than T.O.
And a lot of guys got over Chris Carter, who a lot of teammates and writers couldn't stand.
Yeah, it's sickening. It's stupid, but I guess you just got to fit the mold, Be the Kurt Warners of the world, not the T.O.s. So, Leighton, we want to hear a little bit more from you. Last week, you had me captivated with the Uncle Drew review. What do you have in store for us this week with your Pips Entertainment Review?
1-2-1-2 Pips Entertainment Review. Sit on down for a movie to view.
Well, this week, Jake, I'm going above and beyond, literally, with Skyscraper. The latest Dwayne Johnson, The Rock movie that's making a shit ton of money in box office.
Wait a second. The Rock and Dwayne Johnson are in this thing?
They're the same person.
Huh?
That blow your mind.
Wait a second. Dwayne's The Rock's cousin.
Yeah.
They're a tag team match. One of them's an actor and one of them's a wrestler.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
One played football and one just wrestled.
Thank you for learning me about Dwayne Johnson and The Rock's brotherhood.
I'll learn you a little something. Continue.
So Skyscraper, you've seen the preview for this. It's been around for a while now. The previews have debuted in the Super Bowl.
Features Dwayne Johnson.
This super billionaire created it's 4 Empire State Buildings tall building, and Dwayne Johnson got the job of being putting the security system in place for it. And
you'd think that they'd hire The Rock since he's a little tougher.
Well, Jake, it's not Alcatraz. If it was Alcatraz, The Rock would get it, but this is Skyscraper,
okay.
So it's Dwayne Johnson. So Dwayne Johnson gets the rights, whatever, to do the security system, and he's basically tricked into it by his friend, and they hack the building. And have you guys ever seen Die Hard?
No.
You never seen Die Hard?
Nope.
Okay, well, this is very similar to Die Hard, and terrorists take over the building and capture Dwayne Johnson's family, and the only way he can get it back is if Dwayne Johnson gets them this tablet that they can control the entire building from, and basically they just want to ruin this guy's life. Is this movie stupid? Yes.
Yeah, it does. Wait. So the whole time he's trying to just grab this tablet from somebody?
Essentially.
So he can control it?
And get it back to safety. Essentially, yes.
So wait a second, is it like an actual tablet?
Like an iPad?
Yes, it's an iPad tablet, yes.
I don't want anybody getting after my iPad.
But it's encrypted, so only he can unlock it. But they somehow, they actually just hold him down and they hold a face up to it, and for some recognition, boom, you're in.
See, nobody would have held The Rock down, but Dwayne Johnson, they really went wrong with getting Dwayne Johnson in this movie.
So this whole movie couldn't even exist before 2010, because that's when tablets came out.
Yeah, definitely not. So
Wow.
this movie
So is
is
this a millennials movie?
it's a millennial Die Hard, yes.
Wow. The millennial Die Hard.
This movie is a millennial Die Hard. Is it stupid? Yes. The acting suck outside Dwayne Johnson. Yes. But entertaining? Fuck yes.
It is good.
It isn't.
I've seen the previews where
I
there's like a
think this
burning
is Drake's
building.
movie. I think this is Drake's movie.
It's very big. It's loud. It's full of
Explosions.
You could call anything he does in this movie a sport in Drake's eyes.
I like it.
So, movie definitely entertaining.
See,
I remember watching the clock doing it, and that to me in a movie is bigger than anything else. So for that, I'm gonna give it 2.1 dips.
Wow, that's good.
That is,
See, you just said that it was like everything that Dwayne Johnson was doing was like an athletic event. It was a sport. I don't know why they just didn't sign The Rock instead.
The Rock
This
actually
just
a
does not-
stuntman. The Rock is a stuntman.
The Rock is the stuntman. Okay,
Yes.
that makes sense. That makes
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So 2.1 dips. Outside of Dwayne Johnson, who else would you say is good in this movie?
Dwayne Johnson.
That's it.
That's it. Is he bring any humor to it? Because
He always
honestly, I've
brings-
never seen him not in a comedy before. Like
He
this would be the first non-comedy.
he always brings a little bit of humor into his movies. Yes. Yeah,
That's good.
he always has some snarky comebacks. You know, some real sarcasm, some real Brandon type jokes.
I
yeah.
like him. He's good.
I really do like me some Dwayne Johnson. But I can imagine this movie isn't a thinker.
It's not a thinker, and
It's right up Drake's alley.
and Brandon, I know you like this too. If people in movies do dumb shit, you get pissed off.
Yeah.
For
Because it's just
this movie has some dumb shit, and you're just like, no, don't fucking do that. That's retarded. Don't do that.
yeah.
because
But
there's
no.
so many like just gaps in movies where you're just like,
This movie's
so
full of
nobody's questioning this right now.
Movies
Nope.
full of them, full
All
of the
right,
gaps.
all right, let's go for it.
Yeah, everybody's just sitting in the movie theater drooling, and you're like, yeah, this guy's an idiot. This guy's an idiot. And I get mad, and my heart starts racing. I just want to jump into the screen. So
Hey, Layden,
2.1
have you seen
dips.
Jurassic World yet?
I have seen Jurassic World, yeah.
All right, we can talk about it off, or you can talk about. Have you talked about it on here?
I don't think I got a chance to. No,
Okay. That one has a lot of those moments. So okay,
Yeah, it
we can
does.
talk.
Yeah.
Jurassic World
Um,
sucked. 1.3 dips.
Wow.
Anyway,
that.
Before we move on, I just had a question. Since we're on the topic of Die Hard, is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Yes or no?
What?
Never
movie?
seen it.
Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
A Christmas?
Yeah, it's based at
Um,
Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's not a Christmas movie though. Just because you
Why?
have a setting of Christmas.
Is Home Alone a Christmas movie?
No, I don't think it is. I know people view it as it, but I don't think it is.
Okay.
I don't think.
You need it to be like Elf.
Yes, I
don't
agree.
think. I don't think Elf's a Christmas movie.
I agree.
Oh God!
If-
Oh Lord,
It's
Drake,
it's a
why?
family. It's a family movie. It's a family movie
About
coming
Christmas.
together.
It's a Christmas
Drake, he's an
movie.
elf. Santa's in it. Santa's literally
So?
in the movie.
It's a Christmas movie.
At one point, you have to have the Christmas spirit so the sled will fly.
Yes, Drake.
It's
The
about
reason Home
togetherness.
Alone, the reason Home Alone and Die Hard movies are not Christmas movies, even though they're based at Christmas time, is that the plot and movie can be made during any season. Elf has to be during Christmas season, or it does
Because
not work.
why other would Santa's sleigh be there?
He has to get his
Tooth
dad
Fairy.
on the nice list before Christmas.
It could be the Tooth Fairy.
Another quick review: Elf, all-time classic, 2.7 dips.
Agreed.
Any guys? We'll get back to sports here. Any bold predictions before we wrap this thing up?
Machado to the Phillies.
I like that. He'll look good in red.
Yeah, I mean, they'll lose him after the season. Machado to the Phillies.
Machado gets traded during the All-Star game and is immediately pulled to prevent further injury.
There was a big speculation of that. A lot of people started losing their minds on Twitter whenever they went to rain delay and Machado started the game, didn't come back out. Everybody thought he was traded.
Wasn't
I
there a
can't
Cub
remember
player one
who-
time he got traded during a game?
Yeah, they took him out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's happened a few times. But the All-Star game, do they wear like the All-Star jersey and like their hats, or do they?
Yeah.
Yeah, hat.
So what if Machado just came out in a different hat?
That would be awesome.
Oh.
That
That
would
would
be
be awesome.
something.
Well, he trades to a
Any-
National League team, and he lines up on the
Yeah.
National League side of the ball.
He just jumps on the other side. They're like, no,
they got
stay
two
out there,
jerseys.
short.
Imagine how many jerseys they'd get to sell, though. They'd sell
Oh,
double the
man.
amount.
That would literally be the best skeptical. Oh yeah. Watch out for another one.
My bold prediction, we should know the results by now. I haven't watched them. I kept a blind eye. But Kyle Schwarber loses to Bryce Harper in the home run derby in what is going to be the most fun home run derby I have ever watched.
I've been watching it for a while now on my phone here, just peeking at it. Not that great, nothing special.
Don't tell me that.
There's been a couple close ones in the first round, though, right?
Bryce Harper's
Don't
hitting fucking moon balls here.
Quit. Quit.
Yeah, that's breaking
No spoilers.
for you because you didn't think
No
Bryce Harper was
spoilers.
going to hit moon shots?
You remember
No
how
spoilers.
get some fucking major pop flies?
Anything else before we wrap this bad boy up?
Jake said before the show, September 13th will be our last day on SoundCloud. So just go to Spotify now.
And we're sorry we didn't have an interview. We have a lot of good interviews lined up, though, for the next couple weeks.
Yes, we will have the interviews back in full force. And on that note, for Drake, for Leighton, for B-Rock, the Hot Take Detective, as always, Dippers, stay saucy.